Joining us now is OjyOkpe with stories trending around the world. Hello, Jinx. I see. How do I call you now? Is it brown girl in the ring?
No, it's brown skin girl.
Brown skin girl. That's Beyonce. But we combine we combine both.
Dr.
And Beyonce.
You were trending yesterday for your recommendation of Kama Sutra. Well, all right.
All these books I recommend, I hope the publishers will give me a...
They do. And some people have even made some books with your recommendation. Good morning, Ayo. How are you this morning? How do you deal with this man? Good morning, Kayode.
Yeah, good morning.
How are you?
Good to see you.
Perfect.
Always, yes.
Well, all right. Oh, let me see El-Rufai. Well, good morning to you, viewers. Let's begin what's trending with reactions to the suspension of the proposed nationwide strike by the Nigerian Labour Congress, which was to commence on Wednesday, June 7th, over the removal of fuel subsidy. Organised Labour announced the suspension of the proposed strike after a meeting of its leaders and representatives of the federal government. Well, earlier in the day, an order from a national industrial court had restrained the Trade Union Congress and the Nigeria Labour Congress from embarking on the industrial action. At the end of the meeting, Organised Labour and the government's team agreed to establish a joint committee to review the proposal for any wage increase, as well as review the World Bank Finance cash transfer scheme by all parties. Other issues include improving on the education sector, good roads, and the establishment of a framework for the completion of the nation's refineries. Well, Festus Keyamo, who was part of the government's team during negotiations, posted a copy of the draft agreement and a picture of the moment after the agreement was signed. Well, I don't know if we have that picture up, but I guess that picture was trending as well with Festus Keyamo's tweet. I would come to that draft letter, but let me take some reactions. This person wrote, this is Patton, wrote, "Did anyone read the resolution of engagement with me? No specifics, and they are very promissory and not mandatory. Why was NLC making useless noise before? How would this give immediate impact on the removal of subsidy? They would have kept mute and allow the federal government continue its plans. If you were amenable to accommodating long-term plans regarding subsidy removal, despite the immediate harsh effect, why didn't you give credence to the federal government and stop the charade and playing to the gallery in the name of striking for the poor masses? Most of the things the NLC agreed on are still in line with the middle-term and long-term plans of the federal government without any immediate interventions to cushion the immediate harsh economic realities." Ayo, I want to come to you on this story. I believe that you guys might have talked about it at length, but I wanted to just pull up that draft agreement to talk about that draft agreement. And Spartan was spot on. Because, what was in that agreement really that NLC couldn't just, keep quiet and let the federal government move ahead in doing what they needed to do? You're talking about refineries, you're talking about long-term plans. These are the things that we've been talking about for ages. Let me take a tweet from Realtor, who also wrote that, "I am not an economist, but I think Kwara State government has set a path. All workers should just work for a 3-day shift and minimum wage increase by at least 30% so they can work somewhere else to earn more or not, both public and private sector. This way, more jobs will be created." Over to you. This is another thing that they should have done instead of, threatening strike and no action.
Yes. So first of all, a nice play on words, Spartan spot on.
Yes.
But to the issue, like you mentioned, we've talked about this in detail. We had a guest earlier on speak to this as well, Gola Olojide. But one of the things we had said was that it was quite a disappointing statement released or conclusion or settlement released and communicated by the Chief of Staff and Speaker of House of Representatives, Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila. Because what Nigerians were expecting from Organised Labour was to go in there and come out with some critical, solid, measurable, smart specific, measurable, and just smart. But what we saw was as if it was just so that we say we didn't end the strike just like that. it sort of gives credence, unfortunately, to what Mr. Bayo Ononuga wrote yesterday about NLC. It is quite sad, but it does, because what people were saying is that it's the usual noise making. Where does it get us at the end of the day, or where do we get to at the end of the day? And look at previous strikes that have been called by NLC. Look at the one that they put the lives of how many young people on hold for 8 to 9 months, in the previous year. Where did that get us to? What was achieved from that? I had mentioned before that I felt that the strike was too hasty, because at the end of the day, the people that suffer are the ordinary Nigerians who have to go to work every day to make a living. Because remember, there's also the no work, no pay stance of, by law. So it is ordinary Nigerians. So if you're going to go there, the best or the least you could have done for Nigerians was to get a solid deal from the federal government, particularly on the immediate concerns of Nigerians as to how to cushion the effect of the fuel subsidy removal. What I wanted to hear, what would happen in immediate of the $800 million released by World Bank for the palliatives? What would they do? How do they hope to get to the poorest? Wage review, where are we going to get? I know they mentioned an amount at 200,000 naira, but how are we going to get that? The house, it sounds like a campaign promise document. Just, we will do this, we will do that. It is unfortunately disappointing, and for a number of Nigerians, it's like, don't even bother speaking on our behalf. Let us see how to move forward at the end of the day.
You hit the nail on the head. A campaign promise document. That's really what it was. I know you've all discussed this, so I'll move on to another story in the meantime. A federal high court in Abuja on Monday awarded a 10 million naira fine against Festus Keyamo for filing a frivolous suit against the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar. Keyamo had sought an order compelling the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the ICPC, and the Code of Conduct Bureau to probe and prosecute Atiku within 72 hours on the grounds of a claim by one of Atiku's aides, Michael Achimugu, who in a viral recording alleged that when Atiku was vice president between 1999 and 2007, he conspired with ex-president Olusegun Obasanjo to rip off the country using what he termed special purpose vehicles in delivering the judgment. The judge said Keyamo did not give a reasonable time for the statutory bodies to act before filing the suit, and as such, filed the suit in bad faith. Omotosho, who's the judge, awarded 5 million naira fine each in favor of Abubakar and the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, making it 10 million naira. He described the suit as frivolous, vexatious, and an abuse of court process. This is your story, Dr. Abati.
I think it's a very serious indictment of Festus Keyamo, former Minister of Labour and Employment. Every lawyer is taught that, look, you are supposed to be an officer in the temple of justice. So no matter what the expectations of a client may be, when you go to court, you do so as an officer preserving the integrity, the dignity of the hallowed premises of the court. But in this particular case, the Justice James Omotosho pointedly told Keyamo that the suit you have brought here is frivolous, is vexatious, is an abuse of court processes. In other words, he was accusing Festus Keyamo of wasting the time of the court and also abusing his office as minister, as he then was, of labor and employment. And at that time, even the public raised the point. Now, the judge went further to say, look, what is your local standing in this matter? Michael Achimugu did a video, and then on the basis of mere hearsay, it's called hearsay, busybody, intervention, meddlesomeness, playing politics, you now said, oh, ICPC, Code of Conduct Bureau, EFCC, I'm giving you 72 hours. Ultimate. So the question is raised, who are you to give the investigating agencies a 72-hour ultimatum? By their enabling establishment acts, and I'm sure Keyamo himself knows that, these agencies, they act on the basis of their own discretion. They do their investigations as they choose. And the judge raised the point, what gives you the confidence that what you are even asking about corruption, money laundering issues can be investigated within 72 hours? Okay, as a citizen, you have the right, citizen action, to raise petition, to report people, to try to ensure good order in the society. But you now went beyond that, without even getting a response, you filed a suit in court. So it was in that context that the judge said, look, this is frivolous and vexatious, and it cannot stand, under the rules. And the judge, I think, was even very lenient. He fined him 10 million, and then added the caveat that this 10 million should be paid 10% per annum to the parties concerned. What is the 10% of 5 million, 10% of 5 million until the money is liquidated? If the judge wanted to be strict, he could easily have accepted the respondent's request for 30 million fine, and he could have said, you pay it now.
But isn't this quite unfortunate?
But the point of law is not about the quantum of punishment. It's about the gravamen of the ruling of the court.
I was going to ask, isn't it quite unfortunate that Festus Keyamo, a lawyer, should know that 72 hours is not enough for an investigation?
Well,
how did that happen?
I
wanted to know, because for me, I feel like this could have been a real investigation. I think that the matter was just thrown out, basically, because, why does this keep happening here in Nigeria?
No, the court has taken a decision.
Yeah.
So we stay by the decision of the court. It's not for us here to constitute another court and begin to question.
No, I'm just wondering, this is the question.
And begin to question
this is the question out there.
Competence. But what the NBA, the relevant bodies have said is that lawyers are part of the problem in this country. People take all kinds of frivolous cases to court just to go and say, me lord do that, and to make their clients happy. But it's a waste of the court's time. So it's for the judiciary, it's for the bench to remain proactive and to know when a particular case brought before the bench is frivolous, and to throw it out immediately, either for lack of merit or for abuse of
court process.
However, in this particular case, we're told that Keyamo SAN wants to go on appeal. Well, let us see what will happen when it goes to the Court of Appeal. But perhaps the matter will have been rendered academic in any case.
Well, all right. We'll take another story. Former Governor of Kaduna State, Nasiru El-Rufai, has been accused of wanting to set Nigeria on fire with his utterances. A chieftain of the All Progressives Congress in Plateau State, Samuel Kwamko, made the accusation after a video in which El-Rufai allegedly stated that he deceived Christians during the course of the electioneering campaigns, that the APC Muslim ticket was not for religious dominance, when in actual fact, the tickets, both nationally and at the state level, were for Islamic dominance. In the video, which has since gone viral, El-Rufai is reported to have also said that the victory of Bola Ahmed Tinubu had silenced the Christian Association of Nigeria, adding that he will sustain an Islamic-dominated government for 20 years and unending, not only in Kaduna State, but in Nigeria at large. Kwamko, who is also a former national director of the Christian Association of Nigeria, while reacting to El-Rufai's comments, expressed disappointment at his classification of citizens of his state as them versus us, which to him meant that the former governor cannot be exonerated from the wanton killings, demolition of houses, and places of worship of Christians in Kaduna. Well, let's take a listen to a short clip of that video before we come back for a discussion.
Duk da taron dangin da aka yi, duk da addini da aka yi amfani da shi, Allah ya ba Asiwaju nasara. Abinda muka samu muka yi a Kaduna yanzu an yi shi a ƙasa gaba daya. Babu wani makaryaci da zai zo ya ce, zai fito ya ce shi zai yi siyasa na Kiristanci ya ci zaɓe. Peter Obi ya yi ga inda yake. An yi maganin wannan, dole suka yi shuru. Tun da Asiwaju ya ci zaɓe kan tsit. To da haka ne za a samu zaman lafiya a ƙasar nan. To shi ma ka gani aka sake aka ƙara sai komi sai ya. Wallahi abinda muka yi kenan, kuma ni da wasu daga cikin mu a ganin mu mun gama aikin.
This has caused a huge debate on social media as well, but let me take a tweet before I take your comment. This person wrote, "It is really disappointing for El-Rufai to brag about religion in a country that is trying to heal. What is the point of the speech? What point is he trying to prove in an election that was clearly questionable? The APC, tell your man not to sow seed of discord in this country. Over to you.
This is a tough one for me. I schooled in Kaduna, went to Sultan Bello Primary School. I went to FGC Kano. A number of my friends will refer to me as Dangarewa, Dankano, and things like that. I speak Hausa, and
I didn't know that.
Yes, I speak Hausa. I went to school in Kano. My school was just next to Serkin Zazau's palace, Sultan Bello Primary School. And when I look at this, when I listen to that tape, I am just praying, please God, let Malan Nasir come out and say, no, this was doctored, that this is not him, this is not true.
Yeah, I waited 2 days to take the story.
I've been waiting for that
been
to happen,
trending.
but it hasn't happened. And I will reach out to him at some point over the next day or two, because I've known Nasir El-Rufai from the days when I was living in England. I came back in 2011, and I still say I know him fairly well. This is the same man that has a Yoruba man as his spokesperson, Muyiwa Adekeye. This is the same man that has a lot of friends in Lagos, all over the country. He has a lot of friends who are Igbo, who are Hausa, who are Christians, who are Muslims. This man that I'm seeing in this video, I honestly don't recognize. I don't recognize this person. I don't know what has happened. I don't know the reason why he will speak in this way or say this kind of thing. I am hoping that this is not a man who has been extremely pretentious, who has been behaving in a way that made everybody believe that he's a different kind of person. So this is not someone that I honestly recognize. It's condemnable. Everything he has said in this video is condemnable. And I'm hoping he will still come out and say it was misinterpreted or that's not what he said. But if this is what he has said, this is condemnable, is despicable, is not acceptable for anybody in public office, anybody outside of public office, no matter what you do. You cannot say things like this and be taken seriously as somebody who has been involved in so many things that have shaped the future of Nigeria, and somebody who has a level of influence and capacity to really shape the future of this nation. This is not acceptable behavior. These are not the kind of words that you would expect from someone like him, and it has to be condemned by everyone. It has to be condemned. And I hope that he will come out and take those words back and say, he's sorry, he didn't mean to say this. He has to take those words back.
All right, Dr. Abati, a quick word from you before I take the final.
Well, quickly, I mean, religion has always been used as a divisive factor, exploited by the leadership elite in Nigeria to divide the people. And in this particular case, we've just seen another instance in which, you know, a political figure, a leadership figure, is using religion. He was speaking to a group of imams, and he was thanking them for the help that they have provided, specifically in Kaduna State, for ensuring a Muslim ticket, and also at the national level in ensuring a Muslim ticket. And he got carried away and got to the extent of saying that, look, a Muslim leadership will be imposed, both in Kaduna State and also at the national level of Nigeria for the next 20 years. That in itself is insensitive, is provocative. It doesn't show enough intelligence. Even if, you know, Nasir El-Rufai says he's a very intelligent man and that he's going back to school to acquire more knowledge. Well, of what use is knowledge if it is not applied with wisdom, with sensitivity?
Absolutely.
You know, I think, you know, what he has done here is very disappointing, given the opportunities that this same country has given him, given the kind of exposure that we see on his resume, you know, to now descend to the level of, you know, saying, you know, Muslim ticket, those Christians, you know, those playing Manichaean politics, a binary Manichaean approach to politics, which I consider very primitive and retrogressive. And I hope that he will come around later to say that perhaps this is an artificial intelligence-induced robotic representation of whatever it was that he said. But if he doesn't take it back, well, you know, many people will be disappointed.
Absolutely.
That this is the situation.
Like his good friend here, Coyote. Well, all right. We'll take our final story. Nollywood actress Keyamo has been trending on social media after she tackled the Lagos state government on the tax levy she received from the Lagos Internal Revenue Service on Monday to the tune of 18.6 million naira. Keyamo was given a 7-day ultimatum to pay the bill. While sharing pictures of the personal income tax signed on the letterhead of the LIRS on Instagram, the actress said that she will not pay the bill and is ready to be arrested because she does not understand the methodology at which the LIRS arrived at the tax levy. She also posted a video on social media stating that the tax levy may have been politically motivated. Let's take a listen.
These are taxes. You can see UBA. They call it UBA Bank. Can you see? I paid the tax. This one is even like one of the recent ones we just paid for Lagos State. You see? Paid. You can see. Paid. So I have a lot of them like that we pay for. You can see their stamps on it. Paid. These are taxes that I have paid for over the years. Do you understand? So I pay tax on my business, I pay tax on my house. Someone very close to me sent me a message and said, I heard about this thing 2 weeks ago because, he's within their caucus. This thing 2 weeks ago, stuff like that. They were saying it now because you support Peter Obi, blah, 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 blah. And I don't care. I will support whoever I want to support because it's my right to do so. I'm not fighting anybody. I don't have an issue with anybody. It's my right to do so. What I believe in is what I believe in. What you believe in is what you believe in.
18.6 million naira is a lot of money, but you know that this has caused a lot of reactions on social media. Let me take one. This is from Kayode, who wrote, "Everything is not politics. Keyamo knows she has not been paying complete taxes. About 90% of business owners in Lagos underpay their taxes. If you guys get her into trouble and they invoke tax audit and investigation on her, she will regret ever making it a social media issue." But also, Ayo, you heard her in that video saying that she had been paying her taxes. She's showing proof that she has been paying her taxes. When I heard that amount, 18.6 million, I was like, wow, that's a lot of money. I mean, how many years could it be? So I had to reach out to some people in LIRS, and I was told that it had to do with consumption tax because she runs a lounge. But I mean, it appeared that she was saying that it was personal tax or something like that. I mean, but it is important to note that this is what we need to do in our country. Tax has to be paid. I mean, this is the only way that we run an economy.
Absolutely.
A real economy can only function if there are taxpayers.
All right, so the breakdown of the 18.6 million was that in 2022 she was owing 7.3 million, and in 2021 back taxes of 11 million. So add that together, that's why you have a bulk sum. So just as what tax doctor had said, it wasn't that she wasn't paying, it was that she was possibly underpaying. Now, going back to her statement in terms of only because of her political affiliation or so on and all that, the easiest way to catch people, usually, if you want to catch someone, is just check their tax history or tax record. Because in Nigeria in particular, unfortunately, we have that issue whereby people, especially who are not in the formal sector, neglect to pay their taxes or have gone long. And like you said, we do need taxes for the economy to run. So I hope this will be a lesson for people who are watching that don't take things for granted. Go and sort out your tax documents so that you're not, even if you were targeted, there will be no grounds to actually find something that you're guilty of. That's the truth. But it's, she has 30 days to appeal, in terms of LIRS, so that if she thinks it's unfair.
We have 30 seconds, Dr. Bati Kayode. Anybody who wants to contribute before we wrap up this section?
I don't think, taxation is not conditional. It's obligatory.
Yes.
When you can evade tax, when you go and sort out your affairs. When you try to, you can avoid tax avoidance is different from tax evasion. When you try to evade tax, that's a crime. And you could be sanctioned for it. And Keyamo should be appropriately advised. Instead of going on social media, she should talk to our lawyers.
Yes.
And our lawyers can approach the LIRS, Lagos Inland Revenue Service, within the purview of the personal income tax law of 2011.
Absolutely.
And she can make her presentation. So it's not something about melodrama.
Yeah.
But many Nigerians don't want to pay tax anyway.
We have to pay.
Because they will say the tax will be stolen and the government is not even serious. So we have issues with tax administration. Hence you have this kind of situation. Well, but I'm sure she will sort it out.
Yes, absolutely.
But everybody should know that payment of tax is a civic obligation.
Absolutely.
It's not conditional. There is no immunity with regard to
Well,
it.
thank you all for your great analysis, as always, on What's Trending. Well, that's all I have for you on What's Trending today. I'll see you all tomorrow.